everyone, it's Rhonda, and I am here today with another Project Life process video for you. I am working on my May pages for my Project Life album. And first, let me apologize for my voice. I have been battling a little summer cold that has just decided to settle in my chest, and I have had a cough for, it seems like a week now, and it just isn't going away. So I apologize if I start coughing. I really wanted to get this done for you guys. So I've been putting it off for a few days to see if my cough gets better, but it hasn't. So that's kind of the best I can do for you right now. But right now I'm working on the title card for my layout, and this again is May. I am using on this month exclusively the Hip Kit Club main kit for May. And one of the things that I did a little bit differently starting in April when I started my new album was to also add the embellishment add-on kit. And if you guys have seen my videos before, I love to create filler cards. I love to use a lot of embellishments. I like to treat each little card like its own layout. So I love the fact that with the add-on embellishment kit, I have a lot more options of things that I can use. So you'll see me pull from that one, and you'll see me pull from the main kit. And I apologize, I may not know which one comes from which kit, but they're all from May. So it's either the embellishment or the main kit. So what I, again, am working on right now is my title card. And I always like to start with my title card. I don't know why, it just seems like the perfect place to start. But so what I did was just grabbed that big floral die cut there, and I mounted it with some foam. And I love doing that just because it gives a little bit more dimension. I love that when it's raised up from the background, you can tuck things underneath it. It just gives you a really nice base for embellishing. So you can see there were two different alphas that I've got there. This one I believe is the main kit, and the other, that blue one, came with the add-on kit. And I had originally wanted to use the blue, but because it's a smaller letter and May is such a short word, I just felt like it really wasn't going to stand out a lot. So I went ahead and went with the white thickers to do my title on this card. So also up there in the corner, I'm going to work on another embellishment cluster up there, and I'll finish that off in just a sec. But I thought I would pull out some of the hearts that came with that blue. Those blue ones I think are a Hip Kit Club exclusive, and I just love them. I end up using them later in my layout, but I just really love the font of that. They're really in a pretty blue color, so I just really like them a lot. So for that embellishment cluster up there, I felt like that little bird was just kind of floating, so I pulled out some washi from my stash. It's a really pretty floral on a black background that I thought really kind of pulled this together. So I'm just playing around with some of those ephemera pieces, and I believe the ephemera kit, or the ephemera in this kit, were a Hip Kit Club exclusive as well. So I think they're just perfect. They're a pretty little springy mix. There's a lot of little itty bitty flowers, as you can see from here. There's some leaves, there's birds, there's tags, there's just all kinds of stuff in this kit. So I'm just, right now, I added some more foam to a couple of those flowers again, just to give them some height so that it was easier to layer the little leaves underneath them. But again, I'm just popping up that bird as well with just some of those little leftover foam pieces that I had. So I'm going to put him on there. And I think that ends up completing that cluster up there. I like the way that turned out. And looking at it now, I kind of just like it like that, but I do end up doing another little tiny embellishment cluster down there in the bottom corner. And I just layered some of the flowers that were there. I just kind of like the way that excuse me, the way that tied in down there at the bottom. So I'm just playing with the bits and pieces, trying to figure out what I want. And I decide I love this little blue flower. So I'm just putting just a tiny bit of it on that corner. And I think I add one more little flower. Yeah. So I'm going to add one more little flower down there at the bottom. And I'm going to think that that is good. But then in a few minutes, you'll see me realize that there's some wood veneer words that came with the kit, and I'm going to see that laying on my desk in just a minute and decide that I really want to add one of those to the bottom of that card. So right now I'm just kind of laying out my pictures, and you guys can see from the pictures here, I pretty much always print my cards. Okay, here's the shine. So I've got that wood veneer shine that I think just kind of adds to that bottom corner, and I just staple it on there and that card is done. So going back to my pictures. So I print everything pretty much 3x4, 4x3, because I like to embellish my photos so much. It would be easy to print them all 3x4 and 4x6 and just pop them in the pockets and do filler cards here and there, but that's just not my style. My style is to kind of make every photo card its own mini layout. So that's just kind of how I scrapbook now. So I find that the 3x4 and 4x3 size works best for me. I do occasionally print them a 4x6 and just leave them if I find a picture that I really love and I really want to stand out on its own. I will print a 4x6 and just pop it in a pocket with very little embellishments. I will do that occasionally, but I really do like the 4x3 format. I think it kind of allows you to be a little bit more creative with your layouts. So that's why you guys will see me, I'll pretty much always print my photos in the smaller size. So I've laid those out and just kind of figured out where I sort of want things on this first page. And I'm going to take this picture, and this was a picture that I took at my cousin's daughter's graduation. And it was kind of nice because there were a lot of people from my dad's side of the family there that we don't get to see a lot. My dad's cousin is quick to point out that we never usually all get together unless it's for a funeral. So it was really kind of nice that we were together for a happy occasion. So the sad part about this picture is on the right-hand side, it cuts out maybe 4 or 5 people. They're not all in this photo, but it's the best we could do with such a big group. So I'm happy to have that, and I wanted to make sure and include that. So I went ahead and I just mounted it on some yellow paper that was included with the kit. And I'm going to ink the edges of that again just to make it stand out a little bit. And this is one of the back sides of one of the papers. And I wanted to use that here because I want to include some journaling about this. So I inked up the edges of that, and I'm just going to end up, again, using some foam. Probably just because I had it laying here on my desk is why I've been using it so much on this layout. But it was here, so I thought I would use it. And I just love the dimension that it gives the layout. So I mounted that on there, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up the edges there just so it all blends in again. And I'm going to try and figure out how I want to embellish this. I know that my journaling isn't going to take up that whole card, so I wanted to find some sort of embellishment that I could put down there at the bottom. And this is the Maggie Holmes Chasing Dreams chipboard pieces that I just love them. I think, again, they go perfect with this hip kit, the exclusives in it. But I love that flower piece, and I really wanted to include it, but it was just too big. It would end up cutting off people and their faces, and I didn't want that. So I reached for, these are the puffy stickers, and this kit actually has 2 sets of puffy stickers. I'm sure one of them came with the embellishment add-on, but I love the puffy stickers. I think they're so fun. And there's that heart border that I really wanted to make work, but I end up taking it off of there because I just don't like it. It just doesn't work for me on this. So I'll take that off, and I'll figure out something else to do on the bottom of that. But I find this little floral piece here that I want to kind of tuck underneath that picture. And the nice thing about using the foam is that, again, it's pulled up from the page, so it makes it easy to tuck things under there if that's what I want to do. So I'm just taking some of that, I think that's a gray Tim Holtz Distress ink, and I'm just inking the edges of that flower just so you guys can see right there how much it just pops from the background when you do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do some journaling about how great it was to hang out with my family, and then I'm going to add that flower piece down there. And I really like it when the pieces like that hang off the edge, and that's what I end up doing actually with quite a bit of the flowers in this kit. So I just trim them off, ink the edges, and then I think I'm going to go back and try and see if there's some other embellishments I want to add, but I end up ultimately deciding on just using some of the enamel dots that were included, and I think they're from Echo Park. So I end up adding a few of those, and then I think I use a heart there just to tie in to that to that title page that has the hearts on it. And that's kind of a theme on this side of the layout, is the little hearts. I've kind of added those, I think, on pretty much every card. So I'm just trying to see if any of those other puffy stickers will work. Those puffy stickers are just so cute. But ultimately I end up deciding on the enamel dots, and I like the way that turns out as well. So I'm just going to use a couple of the little ones just to add some dimension on this layout. And I find myself, I don't know about you guys, but anytime I use enamel dots, I tend to go for all the little ones. I have sheets and sheets of enamel dots with just the big dots left. And I don't know, I just never use them because I just think they're too much. I love the accent that the little dots gives. So I don't know, I'm sure I'll figure out something to do with the big enamel dots someday, but I do love the small size of enamel dots. So for this card, I took some pictures of some lilacs that were blooming in my neighborhood. I love lilacs. I love May just because, you know, it's springtime and it's time to plant flowers, and it's time to, you know, take a walk around the neighborhood and see what's blooming. And those lilacs smell so good. I look so forward to it every year. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this card. And I think what I struggle with is that there's green in the picture, but there's not, I don't have any papers with green in them. So none of the papers are really going to work to bring out this green. So what I end up doing is just pulling from my scraps this piece of green paper, and I'm going to end up backing those two pictures on the green. And I think that just kind of pulls that all together, makes that green pop out a little bit, just stand out a little bit from the pink background. So I'm just mounting those two pictures, and I like the two different sizes there. I like being able to combine them on one 4x6 card. So I really do end up liking the way this turns out. And to embellish it, I'm going to pull some of the floral pieces again that are in the ephemera pack, but they're not like traditional floral pieces. I really, really like these. They have a gold color to them, and I really like the way that they kind of pull this layout together. So I'm going to end up using, and I want to use that pink floral, but again, it's just too big for what I've got going on there. So I'm just going to put that big one down. I think, yep, got some foam left, so I'm going to end up popping that little one up just a touch, just to kind of get rid of, I think just to get rid of the foam that I had left. So I'm going to pop that up, and again, just adds a little bit of extra dimension to that card. So I think, oh, I can tuck it in underneath there, but again, it's just too big, and I didn't really want to trim it, but I couldn't really make it work on this. And now looking at it, the pink flower didn't really go with the purple flowers in the picture, so I guess I'm kind of glad that it didn't work out. But so I think I'm trying to figure out a tag that will go with this, and I've got that gold one up there in the top that came with the kit, and I do like that. I was just trying to see if maybe I had a purple or something that I could use instead, but I do end up going with the little gold tag there. So, and those are the floral pieces that I like so much, and I'm going to go ahead and put those on here. And then I've also got those wood veneer words left also, and this one just says happy, so I thought it would just kind of really be pretty on this this little layout. So I'm going to tuck that little tag under there and just kind of play with these floral pieces to kind of get them situated where I want them. And then I'm going to go excuse me, I'm going to try and glue down that happy, and part of my problem is that I get lazy. I have battled back and forth with my my fine line bottle, and I have gone through probably 3 or 4 of them, and I just didn't want to pull out my fine line bottle to do this happy. So I was like, oh, let me just go ahead and use my tape runner. Well, of course, the wood veneer pieces are so delicate, and it ripped that Y apart. So I have to kind of play with it and get it pieced back together, and that took a little bit more work than I thought it would. I thought it would just kind of pop right back on where it was supposed to go, but it didn't. So I end up just stapling it down so that it stays there. And then I go to put this little flower on and I rip that one too. So I have to figure out how to kind of piece it. I thought I was going to piece it together, and then I just end up tucking it underneath that other flower so it doesn't really show as much. But yeah, both pieces, that was just funny. And all because I just didn't want to pull out my fine line bottle. Lesson learned, lesson learned. Next time, pull it out. So I'm thinking that that little tag needs something on it. So I go to my tiny word stickers that I've got a gazillion of, and I find one that just says love this, and I think it's just really kind of perfect. I tuck it up underneath there, and I think I end up pulling another one of those little those little puffy hearts, and I'm just going to add that on there. And then I think that card ends up being done too. Oh, I think, yeah, I'm going to ink the edges again just to kind of pull it all together. But yeah, then that card will be done as well. So I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but I didn't have a lot of pictures for May. It's kind of a quiet month and I just didn't have a lot going on. So I do think that I end up doing quite a few filler cards. I think this front layout has actually 5 cards that actually have pictures on them. So, and I think the back side probably has maybe that many, if that at all. But, so I end up doing quite a few filler cards. So one of the things that you'll see me do is kind of pull everything back out. I scrapbook one card at a time, and I just kind of do it with however I'm feeling at the moment. So I'll pull everything out and I'll just kind of look how it's all coming together and see if I need to pull in a different color or use less of another color. So every once in a while you guys will see me pull all the cards back out and just kind of make sure that the layout's coming together like I want it to do. So this is just a selfie that my daughter came over for Mother's Day, and we were just goofing around with Snapchat, and this was one of the Snapchat pictures that I took. Yeah, Snapchat. So I'm just adding just a couple of the little flowers down here at the bottom. I think I end up layering maybe 3 of them down there at the bottom and calling that good. And then I pull out those puffy stickers because I love those little puffy stickers. And there's a cute little camera up there, which I feel like kind of really goes perfectly with this, since it's just a little Snapchat selfie. But okay, so I went to go get some washi that kind of goes with this, just so that that camera didn't seem to be floating up there. And so I decided to pull it in not only at the top for the camera, but also at the bottom for the flowers. It ends up not being totally noticeable down there, but it just kind of ties in with the, so that there's some washi at the top and at the bottom of the card. So I'll just pop that cute little camera on there, and then that card will be done, I believe. I think I end up going back and stapling those flowers on because they don't want to stay on there. They keep popping off, and it's probably just because I used my tape runner or my tape runner. Yeah, I just end up using that instead of actually pulling out glue, but oh well. So that card is done, and you can see I keep trying to go back and fix them, and like I said, I do think I end up putting a staple in there just to make it stay. Yep, okay. So just trim it off and call it done. So then this picture is a picture of my cart at Home Depot. So in Colorado, it's kind of known that the after Mother's Day is kind of the best time to plant your flowers outdoors. Pretty much you can bank on the fact that you're not going to get a freeze. So it's kind of like the unwritten rule as to when you plant your plants. So after Mother's Day, I had gone. My husband always gives me a gift card to Home Depot for Mother's Day. So I had gone and I had loaded up my cart with all my flowers, and it was such a pretty picture that I just wanted to make sure that that was in here as well. So I end up not really knowing what to do with this. I'm going to kind of play around with it and try and figure out what to do. And I do end up using that little, that gold tag there. And then I also end up pulling one of the puffy stickers and putting it on here. And it's just kind of fun, and it's big. And I probably didn't want to use something that big, but it says My Happy Place, and it just kind of really works for this because I do love Home Depot, especially in the springtime. I love it. So I'm going to end up using that puffy sticker and along with that tag. And then I think I put a little bit of journaling on there that says, just Home Depot, and that one is pretty much it. But I'm trying to look to see if, again, through my stash and see if I can find a tag that's, a better color. But ultimately, I end up just using that one because it works fine and it all comes together. So I just leave it the way that it is. So again, I think I just put the Home Depot down there. And then I think from that little puffy sticker sheet, there's some flowers on there that match with the flowers from the embellishment kit. And I love that. So I'm going to end up putting that up at the top, but I wanted to give it some place to rest. And so I'm going to end up cutting out a couple little of the little banners just to go up there. So I'm going to fishtail those and just give that little puffy sticker a place to rest up there so it doesn't look like it's floating. So I've got that one. I'm going to add, I think, one more. Yeah, I used the wrong one. So I'm going to ink the edges of that in just some pink, just so, again, that pops. And then, like I said, I think I pull in a little bit of a darker one, and I think it might be from a branding strip, maybe, that I pull in there just to kind of, oh, those little birds are cute. I could have used those. But I think the flowers work probably better. But I think, I pull that off and then go for the little darker pink as well. So I'll go ahead and add that, and I think that just works out really well. It just amazes me how that one little cluster up there kind of really brought this card together. Like, I could have just left it with the sticker and the little tag, and it would have been fine, but just pulling this together up here, I think just really kind of finished off this card and made it look like I didn't just throw a couple stickers on and call it done. So, and again, I'm going to ink my edges because I always think it pulls stuff together, and just when I think I want to add more embellishments to it, I think if I ink the edges, it completes it for me, and I feel like I don't have to add more to it. So that's pretty much why I add all of the inked edges that I do. So I think now I'm going to turn my attention to this card. And we had a big snowstorm in May. I can't even remember when it was, but I'm going to end up, I was thinking I was going to do a 4x6 card with those two pictures, and then I end up just deciding to go with just the one. And I think just because that picture doesn't really, I don't know, it tells that it was snowing outside, but I think that the picture that I took of the snow outside tells that it's snowing outside. So I decided that I really didn't need to add that time and temperature card there to that layout. So I end up just putting it away, and I end up using that snow picture on a 3x4 card by itself. So that's when I decide I can cut this down a little. Yeah, that's not going to work. That blue just didn't really work. So I think I end up taking that little polka dot card. I love that paper. It's kind of a watercolor look with polka dots on it, and I love polka dots, anything polka dot. So this is one of my favorite papers from the kit. So I'm going to trim this down just enough that it doesn't really take away from the photo, but enough to make it fit on a 3x4 card. And then that little pink cloud was in the ephemera kit, so I'm going to add that little pink cloud. And then I found that there's a little heart in those puffy stickers that I'm going to add, and I think it just comes together so cute. I love the black and white stripe on that. I think that card turned out so cute. So I think that may be all I do with that one. Oh, I think I do add another, a couple enamel dots. But, gosh, I'm like, no wonder I'm looking for my tweezers, because I am the messiest scrapbooker ever. I swear, my desk is always a disaster. I can never find anything. And like all of those embellishments over to the right have like kind of encroached on my scrapbooking space. So I usually wait until I finish a month layout, and then I clean off my desk before I start the next one. But man, it's just like encroaching on my space here. What a mess. What a mess. But it's what I've done. I've always been a messy scrapbooker. Always. So again, I'm just going to kind of lay these out and figure out what I need. Excuse me. What I need and where I need to go. Do I need some other colors? Do I need less of another color? I do think I need to do a couple of filler cards because I think that's all my pictures that I have for the front side of my layout. So I'm just going to lay them all out. And sorry about that they're being cut off at the top, but again, I'm just laying them out and trying to figure out where I want to put things and what's going to give me the best, combination of colors so that I don't have all blacks in one spot and all pinks in one spot. And so I'm just playing around, seeing what else I need. So I think I'm going to end up, I think I need a 4x6 filler card. So I think that's what I'm trying to figure out is what I need. And I think I need to pull in some more black and maybe some more black and some more pink. So I think that's what I end up doing on this filler card. And I cut down that little 3x4, but I don't think I end up using that. I don't think. No, I don't think so. Not for my filler card. But, and I don't know that I end up using that pink card either. So I end up going with kind of a pink and black layout for this little filler card because it pulls in both of the main colors that I've been working with on this layout. So I'm going to use that pink background paper, and I love the way that looks together. I love pink and black together. I always have. I think they're great colors together. But I've got this heart paper that I'm just going to kind of fishtail to lay underneath this ledger paper. So, and that again pulls in the pink from underneath. It pulls in the pinks from the other card. It just softens up the black a little so the black isn't so harsh right there. And I just really like the way that this card comes together. So this is where I feel like I can finally use some of those bigger chipboard stickers that are on there. I thought I wanted to use some of those foam stickers that came in there, the word phrases that came in there, but they're too big. They would be perfect on a 12x12 layout, but I really wanted to use them on this, but I just don't think that they would work on this. They would kind of overwhelm the card, and that wasn't really the look that I was going for. So I ended up pulling this off of the background because I wanted it to hang off of the black paper and not off of the whole layout. So I pulled that off so that I could trim down the ledger paper so that it wasn't hanging off the entire card. So I put that back down, and then I'm going to end up being able to use that chipboard, that floral chipboard, that rose that I was wanting to use before. So I'm going to finally pull that off, and it just goes perfect there. So that's going to hang out there, and then I'm going to play around and try and figure out what else I want to put on there. And I've got that little puffy sticker that says bonjour. And I like the way that turns out. I do end up later, I think off camera, moving that bonjour over to the left-hand side of that flower. I just think that it looked better over there after I moved it later. So again, I'm trying to look at this, but they're too big. They're too big for a Project Life layout. So I still haven't used them yet, so hopefully I'll get to use them at some point. I think I mentioned before that I am going to try and do more 12x12 layouts, so I may be able to use them that way. So I'm really just trying to figure out what else needs to go on here. And I've got that little chipboard piece also that says, I think it says, does it say think happy, live happy, think happy? And so I really like the way that plays off of the black behind it. So I go ahead and put that on there. And I think I go back because there's a little floral puffy sticker that I want to put on there. So I just put a little, I think it's yellow or pink, I forget what color it is, but it needs a little puffy sticker there. So I end up putting that up there. And I think at the end of this, I'll show you guys what the cards look like, and you'll see where I move that bonjour to the left-hand side. I think it just made it look better. So the last card that I'm going to do is a little 3x4 filler card. And I love the way this turned out. It was so simple. There's nothing to it. There's nothing to this card. And I love the way it looks. So again, I looked at those Maggie Holmes Chasing Dream chipboard and tried to figure out which one I could do. It's got that big field of flowers, I think it says, book that I really wanted to use, but it was ultimately just kind of too big. It took up the entire card. So I decided to use this little bird, and he's so cute. He's so cute. He kind of pulls in the bird that I've got on my title card, and he just completes this card with minimal work. You guys will see I just inked up the edges of this. I think I put my paper at an angle and trim it down. And again, that's that that blue polka dot paper that I love so much. So much. And the bird pulls in the pinks and the blues, and it works perfectly. And all I do literally is put him on there. And then that puffy sticker sheet that had the borders on it, I really wanted to pull one of those in there. And that's where I end up pulling this little sticker that says "A Little Bird Told Me." And then I'm going to use that heart border that I had tried to use on another card and it just didn't work for there, but it works perfectly on this. And I just love the way this card came together. So I'm trying to see if I can pull in any of those other borders across the top, and then it's the perfect size, it's the perfect everything. So I end up using that there, and that card is done. So all of my cards for the first side of my layout are complete. So I'm going to lay them out and figure out what order I want to put them in. Kind of mix up my blues a little bit, mix up my pinks, but I think ultimately that's how I end up doing them. So I will share with you guys kind of a close-up of what each of the cards looks like. I hope you enjoy this. Hope you got some inspiration from it. Feel free to leave me a question or a comment, and I will do my best to follow up with you on that. But thanks you guys for joining me, and you have a great day. Bye-bye.